Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's Auxis Corporate Performance Series webinar titled, Is Rackspace's Managed Cloud Right for My Business? My name is Yaslin Arroyo, and I'm the moderator for today's webinar. Today's webinar is presented by Auxis and Rackspace. Auxis is a unique consulting and outsourcing firm comprised of former industry professionals who don't act like traditional consultants. Offering a customized, real-world, results-oriented approach, we become ingrained in our clients' culture and vision and truly dedicated to their success. Our depth of experience allows us to maintain a focus on customization, flexibility, and bottom-line results at a very competitive cost structure. Rackspace is the #1 managed cloud company. Its technical expertise and fanatical support allow companies to tap the power of the cloud without the pain of hiring experts in dozens of complex technologies. Rackspace is also the leader in hybrid cloud, giving each customer the best fit for its unique needs. At this point, I'd like to introduce our featured speakers in the order of presentations. Our first presenter will be Alejandra Moreno. Alejandra is the IT Director of Infrastructure Projects at Auxis, with over 25 years of experience. She's an ITIL certified practitioner and has successfully led multiple client projects in the areas of network design, disaster recovery, infrastructure deployments, and ITIL assessments. Our second presenter is Matt Peterson. Matt is a hybrid solutions consultant at Rackspace. He works with customers in understanding their needs and assisting with the design and best fit implementation of cloud services at Rackspace. Our third presenter is Grant Irons. Grant is the Partner Training Manager at Rackspace. Based at Rackspace's corporate office in Texas, he's responsible for the training and enablement of Rackspace's 2,000-plus global channel partners. Before we begin, let me remind all participants that we welcome your questions during the webinar. Please submit them using the question feature on your panel. We'll make sure to address those questions at the conclusion. And with that, I'll turn it over to our first speaker, Alejandra. Alejandra?
Thank you, Jaslyn, and many thanks to all of you who are attending this webinar today. This is our agenda for today's webinar. We will go over some technology facts, review the strategic technology areas and statistics for cloud use. We will review Gartner's Magic Quadrant for cloud-enabled managed hosting, and then our partners from Rackspace will provide us the details of their specific cloud services that they provide. We're going to conclude the presentation with a sample real use case from one of our clients to illustrate the capabilities of Rackspace's hybrid clouds. So since we started the webinar, there has been a lot of things going on the internet, and lots of the activities that you see right now in this slide are being powered by cloud technologies. Millions of emails have been sent out, hundreds of hours of music listened on Pandora, photo views and uploads on Flickr, thousands of tweets, and millions of views and logins on Facebook. 80% of the world's data has been created in the past 2 years. So there's no longer any doubt that as a critical set of enabling technologies, cloud can significantly impact how an organization conducts its business. As cloud begins to become more mainstream within the business environment, we are seeing organizations move from the when and the why of cloud adoption process to instead focus on the now. So we just want to go over some strategic technologies that you really can't afford to ignore. And a couple of years ago, cloud computing was not #1, but as a strategic technology area for 2013 and 14, it is right at the top, together with others that have either dropped over the years or started to climb up the importance ladder. Cloud computing is a broad term that describes a broad range of services. In order to truly understand how the cloud can be of value to an organization, it is first important to understand what the cloud really is and its different components. Since the cloud is a broad collection of services, organizations can choose where, when, and how they use cloud computing. So we just want to explore a couple of definitions of acronyms that we use all the time. So software as a service refers to applications that are designed for end users but delivered over the web. Then there's platform as a service, PaaS. It is a set of tools and services designed to make coding and deployment of the applications quick and efficient. So platform as a service is analog to software as a service, except then rather than being software delivered over the web, it's a platform for the creation of software delivered over the web. And then we have infrastructure as a service, IaaS, which provides a way of delivering cloud computing infrastructure. We're talking here about servers, storage, networks, operating systems as an on-demand service. So rather than purchasing servers, software, data center space, or network equipment, clients instead buy those resources as a fully outsourced service on demand. And as we see on the chart, cloud use is growing. So by 2016, it would have doubled what we see, what we saw in 2012, and that's throughout any type of organization, any organization size. We wanted to show you the Magic Quadrant for Cloud-Enabled Managed Hosting. We're going to see this figure again in a couple of slides, but we wanted to highlight Gartner's description of Rackspace services in this white paper, which was published in July of this year, identifying Rackspace as the clear leader in both ability to execute as well as in completeness of vision. So Rackspace has been in the managed hosting business for multiple years. It was very quick to adopt a strategy of allowing managed services to be purchased on a consumptive basis. Rackspace also has a very deep-rooted cultural focus on high-touch customer service, and we as clients of Rackspace have experienced this in person. Rackspace portal is well integrated, providing customers with access to many managed services. And we're also going to see from Rackspace some demonstrations from their console. It is very well integrated and allows many services to be provided directly from the console. We have seen an evolution of cloud adoption from private clouds to public clouds to finally the hybrid model. In the private cloud, you have dedicated resources. In the public cloud, services are delivered just via the internet, and IT resources may be shared by different tenants. And hybrid clouds are a combination of those offerings to better fit the business needs. But this is where I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Matt to continue with the specifics of Rackspace's offering and the recommendations for cloud use based on your business requirements. Matt?
Great. Thank you, Alejandra, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. So a little bit about Rackspace here. As you look at the bottom, the #1 managed cloud company. When we look at moving to the cloud, we're going to talk about a lot of things with the cloud today, both infrastructure-wise and different types of platforms. But mostly we're going to focus a little bit on service and support that comes along with that. And that's where Rackspace is really different than a lot of the other providers out there. It's always been one of our missions to be one of the world's greatest service companies, and really is our mantra for moving forward. So we'll talk a lot about that today of how Rackspace really seeks to partner with our customers. From a high level, just to get you a little bit familiar with Rackspace, starting at the top there, we have about 6,000 Rackers at this time. Rackers are what we call ourselves as employees. That's worldwide. And we have about 300,000 customers worldwide at this point. If you look a little bit to the right there, you'll see that we serve 60% of the Fortune 100 at this point in time. So as you can see, there's a big difference there between the 60% of the Fortune 100 and the total amount of 300,000 customers that we have. So basically, we serve customers anywhere from enterprise-level customers all the way down to very small 1 and 2 man operations. So there's a lot of use cases that we've seen out there and a lot of expertise that we've gleaned from that. And we've done that across 120 different countries, and we do have data centers, 9 worldwide data centers at this point to support those customers in 120 different countries. As Alejandro mentioned, we have been around for about 15 years now. As a hosting provider, we went public in August of 2008, and at this point we have about $1.7 billion in annual revenue. A couple last things within these numbers that you'll see here. If you look towards the top with the 6,000 Rackers, We talk about in the last slide and being one of the world's greatest service companies. Approximately 80% of our employees are in support level positions. So here 24/7, 365 to support our clients. And between that and the portfolio that we'll go over, the portfolio solutions that we have, that allows us to really offer great customer service and retain about 98% of our customers each year. So with all that, we've talked about fanatical support being really backing everything that we do, kind of in a commodity industry, being the cloud of providing infrastructure. It's the service, the support, the extension of your team at Rackspace that really differentiates us from our competitors. So in that fanatical support promise, you'll hear that talked about a lot. But basically what that is all of our employees here are very empowered, appreciative of what they do, and really want to do the best thing for our customers. So what the fanatical support promise says, it's the no excuses, no exceptions, can-do way of thinking that Rackers strive for every single day. So our goal is complete customer satisfaction, and when you think about that, that's from a couple perspectives. One, we're just passionate about what we do, and we want to take care of our customers. But also from a business-sided perspective, when you think about it, when our customers move to Rackspace, they're not having to spend money to do the networking, the infrastructure, everything that comes with implementing their specific application. Rackspace is doing all that for you instead, and we spend thousands, if not millions, depending on the customer, to procure that hardware and do that. So it takes Rackspace about 3 years to get profitable with our customers, and if we don't do a great job for our customers, we're going to not be profitable basically because they're going to leave us earlier than we kind of hit that break-even point. So again, very empowered to do what's right for our customers, make sure that they're happy, but it's also important to our business model to ensure that we do that. So speaking of our business model, this is where that's kind of led us. When you look at the diverse infrastructure and portfolio that we have, along with that fanatical support that we provide, that's allowed us to become the leader in the Magic Quadrant for cloud-enabled managed hosting. Alejandro mentioned this earlier, but if you look towards the bottom, that's our completeness of the vision and our ability to execute that vision. And what makes sense here to me is when you look at Rackspace, this at the top of the quadrant there, that is all that we do at Rackspace is managed hosting. When you look at the rest of the quadrant, there's some providers in there that this isn't their main business. A lot of telecommunications providers, and really in an industry that's becoming commodity-driven and just providing infrastructure there, but not service and support with that. That's where Rackspace is different. That we want to be the leader and is the #1 managed cloud company, and again, really offering service, support, and being an extension and offering expertise to our clients. So why choose Rackspace? There's a few reasons here. Number one, over 15 years of hosting experience. This is all we do. This is what we specialize in. We don't dabble in any other industries. We focus on this. All backed by fanatical support. We've talked about that a lot. But the Gartner Magic Quadrant has shown there that the Gartner Magic Quadrant has shown everything with backed by fanatical support and where what that has allowed us to achieve. Thirdly, best fit architecture. We're going to talk a lot about the architecture that Rackspace can engineer for our customers. But when we look at that best fit architecture, we're able to really design that to meet unique needs, whether that be for high performing and secure databases or scalable application and web servers. We can do that. And lastly, we provide choice. This is in a few ways. We provide choice of operating system. We're going to manage and support whether that be a Linux or Windows OS. We can do that. We also do not have vendor lock-ins, so our customers do not have to write specific code to come here to Rackspace. They can move into our environment, move out as needed, and there's a lot of ways that we can customize an architecture for them. Lastly, with private cloud, we have the ability to deploy OpenStack, which is an open source software, Windows or Linux environments, in providing that operating system in a location of choice for our customers. And again, we can engineer that to run on an infrastructure that is going to best meet their needs. We talked a little bit about our diverse set of customers earlier, and we can't talk about all those due to NDA, obviously. But this is just a quick snapshot of some of the different types of use cases we have out there. I mean, you look at Domino's Pizza and their online ordering and the functionality that goes into that. And really, this is on a worldwide basis for Domino's and how we might accommodate them versus something at the bottom with a cloud mine, which is a very secure type of software that's needed, and how we can go about delivering that for them. So a really wide spectrum of customers we have out there, a lot of different use cases and expertise that we can put to use for our customers and helping them engineer what's best for them. So now getting into a little bit about cloud infrastructure and best fit type of architecture. When you look towards the left, you're going to see public cloud. This term is thrown around out there a lot in the industry. So public cloud, when we refer to that at Rackspace, that is a multi-tenant type of environment. And what that means is you're sharing that environment with other customers. You have physically separated instances, but it is a shared hypervisor that you're living on. So with that, because there's control mechanisms with that, it reduces the control and customization available to clients on that. However, as you look towards the bottom, it's great in that there's utility billing. You can spin those up and down as needed. Provisioning speed is a matter of minutes. But again, as you see toward the bottom, it's multi-tenant and generalized. So typically things like applications, web servers, things that are scalable in nature are going to run best there. Then you look towards the right, which is dedicated, which is single tenant and specialized. So you are the only customer on that server. It comes with a dedicated firewall. So as you look towards the top in green, you're going to have enhanced security with that. You're going to have higher performance. You're going to have a lot more customization and control. But with that, because it is a dedicated server, you can't spin that up and down at a moment's notice. It does take more time to provision, to customize, and it is more of a long-term instance that is there for you. Now, the great news with that is you don't have to decide on one or the other at Rackspace. When you look at that area in the middle, we can customize that and privatize that into what we call our hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud at Rackspace is typically going to be a mixture of both dedicated hosting. A lot of times we see databases and security conscious type environments there, and a combination with our public cloud. And the way we do that is called Rack Connect. It's a Rackspace proprietary technology that creates its own private network of combining dedicated hosting along with public cloud hosting. And then we can also combine that, as you see in the middle, with Rackspace Private Cloud, which allows customers to deploy in other data centers or at their own locations. And we can basically marry all of those together into a hybrid cloud best fit architecture that encompasses everything that you see here. So when we talk about at the top here, Rackspace being the #1 managed cloud company, and we start to look at these bars at the bottom and these little figures that you'll see, the first piece here that I want to point out, when we start at the bottom, the data center layer, the networking layer, and then we work up towards the top at the application layer, every single one of these people here, or these figures that you see, are experts. Okay, so they're here 24/7, 365 at Rackspace, here to support our customers. And you look at us having 300,000 customers a year, all the different interactions that we have with those customers. There's a lot of expertise and things that really a lot of times come second nature to Rackspace, where it's our first time for our customers dealing with that. So again, in our seeking to provide fanatical support and be an extension of your team, there's a lot that we can provide there. Where Rackspace really comes in is you look towards the bottom right, the second bar is dedicated hosting. So we can start at that layer where we're going to provide all the data center, networking, and the devices for our customers. That is all provisioned by Rackspace. Now, if you want us to stop there and really kind of provide a great infrastructure, help you get launched and up and running, but then from there you want to manage your OS, you want to manage your backups, you want to manage your application, we can do that. Where Rackspace especially really comes in, though, is when you see to the right is a managed cloud provider, and what that means is we have expertise to the virtualization layer. We're going to completely manage that for you. We have expertise to the operating system layer, so we're going to install your operating system. We're going to manage it. We're going to handle all the patches and updates. That will all be taken care of for you. Up to the application infrastructure layer, when you look at SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, we're also going to manage those updates and patches for you. We're going to manage those backups for you, where we can do those on-site or off-site backups. That can be customized as well. And we're going to monitor everything beneath that application infrastructure layer to make sure that your environment is up and running, it's healthy, and you'll have a dedicated account team here that if there are any issues, they'll either take care of those for you, depending on what level those go up to, or notify you of those issues and work with you to resolve those. As you see towards the very top, it starts to be a little bit of a spotty area there between application layer and application infrastructure layer. In most cases, the application layer is where we stop for our customers, and so they can focus on their applications, do what they do best. They're the experts there at the top of the screen. Rackspace is the experts and everything below that. So a little bit about the applications that we do support. We do a ton of email and exchange at Rackspace. So Rackspace email, we have about 3 million users worldwide. We're the largest provider of business class email in the world. Another application we specialize in is SharePoint. So when you look at Microsoft supply licensing from hosting providers, which is basically licensing for dedicated SharePoint usage, we host 85% of the world's hosting there, which is obviously a very extreme amount. We host a ton of enterprise level customers here on our SharePoint, and the reason for that is we can be very customized in designing an infrastructure. We can do both, as you see there, multi-tenant and dedicated hosting for our customers. We have a lot of expertise here. Rackspace has more SharePoint MVPs than any other company, so that's Rackspace's highest level of certification for expertise in SharePoint. There's about 100 worldwide. Rackspace has 6 here. So within SharePoint, Rackspace will really become your SharePoint administrator. A lot of similar to what we do with managed hosting, providing everything up to the application layer. Rackspace will do pretty much the same as with SharePoint, so our customers can really focus on their specific site and end user content and management, and we'll handle all of the infrastructure, administration, and back-end support in SharePoint. We also have a ton of expertise here at Magento. Magento is an open source e-commerce platform. We support over 1,000 Magento enterprise customers globally. We also do, sorry, I think we might have lost the slide there for just a minute. We also provide a Magento community, and again, with best fit architecture, we can do both dedicated infrastructure or cloud infrastructure and a combination of both, and really consult with our customers on creating the best fit for them both from performance and licensing through Magento. Lastly, with dedicated and hosted exchange, Rackspace has expertise here. Similar to SharePoint and our other managed hosting, we will become your administrator for Exchange. With our hosted Exchange, that's a worldwide geographically redundant solution. We provide all of the antivirus, anti-spam, secure POP3, and IMAP4, and the full collaboration and calendar sharing of those. The other great part, much like hybrid architecture, we can also do hybrid architecture of our email, of doing both hosted and dedicated married with Rackspace email as needed. And now I'm going to kick it over here to Grant to talk a little bit about some of our cloud offering.
Thanks, Matt. I'm going to talk about our managed public cloud, which is the multi-tenant public cloud Matt was referring to earlier. And like we've talked about, cloud at Rackspace is, or the value prop at Rackspace is that we give you guys support whenever you need it. And what we found is customers who need support in areas like architecture, monitoring, operations, scaling, alerting, and administration are the best fit customers for Rackspace because of that fanatical support that Matt's talked about. I like to think of myself as a handy guy, and whenever I need something fixed, I can go to the home improvement store and find what I need and get it and fix it myself, except when it comes to painting. Not a big fan of painting and really don't know what to do. So when I go to the big box store, on the left, I see all those paint, and it gives me hives and makes me nervous. Whenever I go to the specialty store on the right, I can go in and they'll ask questions and they'll say, this is the kind of paint you need. This is the surface types. You don't even know the terms that you're supposed to use because I'm not a painter. So that's why I go to a painting specialty store. It costs a little bit more, but the support that they provide is valuable to me and I'm willing to pay for it. That's Rackspace versus the commodity cloud providers. We provide that extra level of support and specialization versus the commodity provider, which they have good products, but it's very DIY. Managed public cloud at Rackspace has 2 different support levels. The base level of support is managed infrastructure, and we're there whenever you need us. You as a customer sign up for cloud, you start to build your cloud, and if you have any questions or problems, you can always call us. You can chat with us, email, submit support tickets. We're available 24/7, 365. If you need a little more help, you need somebody to possibly be the sysad for your cloud, we offer managed operations where we run your operations for you. And that's divided up into 2 levels. Sysadmin focus, where it's individual treatment for each server. We're going to be the sysad for your cloud. And then if you're developing an app or if you're moving an app from dedicated or on-site or colo into the Rackspace multi-tenant public cloud, we can help you with that through the use of DevOps automation support level. This is a comparison of our 3 support levels in the multi-tenant public cloud. Managed infrastructure on the left, which is, again, our base level of support, all the way to managed operations with DevOps automation service on the right. And you can see all the things that come with it. What I really want to point out is the fact that even our managed infrastructure support layer, the base level of support they provide includes fanatical support. So you have access to cloud engineers 24/7. We provide code dev assistance. We'll help you with security evaluation. You have launch manager. You'll have architecture advisors. It's not just infrastructure as a service. It's infrastructure as a service with support. And like was mentioned earlier, we have a comprehensive cloud control panel. This is our multi-tenant public cloud. And I want to point out a couple of things. Along the top, you can see where it says servers, load balancers, files, DNS, database, and so on and so forth. Those are some of the services that you can access through our cloud control panel. Our cloud is built on OpenStack, and OpenStack is a cloud operating system, open source cloud operating system that uses APIs to control it. Our cloud control panel is actually run by APIs, and you can use the cloud control panel through an API into the cloud servers. The bottom part of the screenshot gives you an idea of what it takes to create a cloud server in our multi-tenant public cloud. Very simple. You, under server details, you give the server a name. You choose the region. Like Matt said earlier, we have 9 data centers worldwide. In the U.S., we have data centers in Dallas, Chicago, and Northern Virginia. We have a data center in Sydney, Australia. We have 2 in London and 1 in Hong Kong. So you choose the region, then you choose the image type, whether it's Windows or Linux, and then within each of those image types, there's multiple operating systems. At last count, we had about 37 operating systems in the Windows and Linux arenas, and then I have here chosen CentOS and then the version of CentOS. So you can see that we have 4 different versions of CentOS. And that's great because if you've designed your app on a certain version of CentOS or Ubuntu or Debian, you can use that version in the Rackspace Cloud. Then the next decision you have to make is what size server you want. All the way from our standard servers, you'll see on the bottom left, and they go up through general purpose, memory intensive, I/O intensive, and then compute intensive. And the base level of server that we offer is 1 gig of virtual RAM and 1 virtual CPU with a 20 gig hard drive, all the way up to 32 virtual CPUs and 126 gigs of RAM, I believe, and 1.2 terabytes of storage space. So there's a lot of variety in the sizes of servers that you can choose. And one great thing about the multi-tenant public cloud is the fact that it's utility pricing. So you only pay for what you use. So you can see in the bottom right there under price, this one is 11.8 cents per hour per server, with this 3.42 cents per hour for storage, for a total of 15.22 cents per hour total. And there's a lot more detail that we can go into. If you do have questions, you can get in touch with Matt about that. But a lot of options in our public cloud. And one thing I want to point out, you may have noticed that there's a spider on there. It's not on your screen. I took this screenshot on Halloween Day. And that's just kind of indicative of the culture at Rackspace. We're super technical and a lot of geeks around here, but we also like to have a lot of fun. So around things like Halloween, we'll do fun stuff on our website just to add a little joy to people's days. One particular part of cloud files that we wanted, or excuse me, of cloud infrastructure we want to point out is cloud files, which is a pretty cool part of the Rackspace Cloud. In that, it enables you to store files in the Rackspace Cloud through the use of APIs or directly through our control panel, and it's enabled by CDN. So if you store a file on one of the data centers in Dallas, in the cloud in Dallas, and one of your customers or someone in your company accesses that file, let's say in Japan, the first time they access it, it'll actually come from Dallas. But the next time someone in that region accesses it, it would actually come from an edge location in Japan. So the latency we for accessing that file would be significantly shorter than it would if it were coming directly from the server where it resides. Because we understand that files are super important, whenever data is stored in cloud files, there are 3 copies available. So we maintain 3 copies in order to have that redundancy. And developer tools are prolific with cloud files, Java, Python, Node.js, Ruby, PHP, and .NET. So cloud files can easily be integrated into any app that you might create. This is what cloud files looks like on the cloud control panel. Again, super easy to access, and any file that you post on cloud files is accessible through a simple HTTP link. And then if you're using HTTPS, that's available streaming and so on and so forth. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Matt, and Matt is going to talk about our single tenant managed dedicated hosting.
Great. So a little bit about our service level agreements, and a lot of times when dealing with new customers at Rackspace or customers considering moving more into the cloud, there's a lot of concerns around, well, am I going to be able to attain the same uptime and I'm going to have the same security that I do of doing this in-house? And a lot of times when we go through the details, I mean, with almost all new customers that come on, should they want to, we go through a really detailed consultation with engineers, with our support teams to make sure not only that it's right from the get-go, but it's something we can support and help them get off the ground seamlessly. So with all that said, some of the things we're able to offer through our service level agreement that a lot of times our customers take a lot of solace in is, first of all, you're going to have fanatical support around the clock 24/7, 365. There's no call centers. One of the best things I think that our former CEO and still our chairman, Graham Weston, used to do in meetings and presentations is he used to stop in the middle of that and call into our support line, and somebody would answer within a couple rings. So when you look at, for clients and customers to have to look at the cost of staffing around 24/7, 365, or just the tax that's put on employees so they can't focus on things that are more revenue generating or end user experience, it really is a big benefit there to having that. We also provide immediate response, if you go down the list there, to support tickets. As we start to work down towards the middle there, you'll see 100% network uptime guarantee and a 1-hour hardware replacement guarantee. So that's very hard for businesses, obviously, to be able to do in-house. I mean, we keep tens of thousands of dollars of hardware on stock at each of our data centers so we can honor that 1-hour hardware replacement guarantee. We'll talk a little bit about our network utilization, but we basically have N+2 redundancy throughout our data centers. So that we can provide that 100% network uptime guarantee. In a future slide here, we're going to talk about some of our security certifications. A lot of time, customers will have concerns with, well, how secure are your data centers, how secure is my environment? And when you look at the protocols that are in place and the compliances we adhere to, it's world-class, to say the least. We will also handle the weekly managed backup plus daily differential or incremental backup. That is all handled for our customers. It's part of our service level agreements. So we really have 3 main managed dedicated hosting support levels. So again, managed dedicated, that's going to be your single tenant hosting. So managed is one of those, is really kind of our basic level, but still when you look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant for cloud-enabled managed hosting, that is starting at this managed level. Then we can really build on top of that. But what that has, again, is the 24/7, 365 support. There are engineers available here around the clock to you. It's network and hardware uptime. The SLAs we just talked about, 100% network uptime and 1-hour hardware replacement. It's the fast deployment of standard configurations, and those configurations, again, are going to include the managed backup for you, the management of the OS in terms of patching, configuration, updates, and then the management of the backups for you as well. In addition to that, there's a ton that is available through the portal. Grant went through some of our cloud portal there. Our dedicated hardware has a very similar type of look and feel where you can manage your virtual machines. If you're virtualizing your environment, you can manage your backup schedule. A lot of self-sufficient management tools available to you in your portal. On top of the managed hosting, then, the next level is your intensive hosting, and that's where we're going to be more proactive, so to speak, in managing the health of your environment and your system. We'll have a recurring consultation to understand the needs of your business with your dedicated account manager. That's one point of contact who is going to organize your account team. We'll go over that here in just a minute. And really, we're going to have a deep knowledge of your unique environment. We're going to be responsible for that hosting platform, and we're going to customize that implementation and those processes and then monitor those for you. The last level, and really our highest level of support, is our critical application support. I think a great real-world example of this is for customers such as those going on Shark Tank. I don't know if anybody else is a fan of that show, but many times they'll go on to that show, and then instantly they'll have a ton of traffic start to hit their site and a ton of needs that they have to fulfill. So with our critical application support, you'll basically have somebody here at Rackspace, a dedicated person who is knowledgeable of your environment, understands your environment and your business needs, and is monitoring that and then making adjustments to your application as needed to handle those events. So we have 100% production platform uptime guarantee, and we will credit back 2 times of your service level credit if we fall short on that, 100% uptime guarantee. So again, really this is just a proactive management, a performance and utilization, and our web scale engineers, so very similar to our DevOps automation on the cloud side. So one of the last things that we'll talk about Rackspace, because I think you're probably tired of hearing fanatical support, and that's common here at Rackspace, and that's what we really constantly strive to and adhere ourselves to. But how do we go about delivering that? So it all comes through our dedicated support teams. If you look at the middle of this circle here, in the middle you're going to see you and your customers team. So that person at the top is your dedicated account manager. When you come on at Rackspace, we're going to, as a customer, we're going to do what's called a Rackspace 101. They're going to talk you through your portal. They're going to talk to you about your business. They're going to learn that, hey, if we're doing that pinging and that monitoring of your environment and we notice an issue with X, how do you want us to react? Do you want us to re-kick the machine for you? Do you want us to do a restore of your database? To what level of file and folder level do you need that done? They're really going to create what we call a playbook with you. Now, if it's something having to do with your application, they're also going to have a playbook for that of how do you want us to notify you, who do you want us to notify if it's 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning and that needs taken care of. So that person is your dedicated point of contact here 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then above that, you'll see your direct Racks team. That is that team then that account manager is going to organize and is going to be here 24/7, 365 here to support your environment. A lot of companies will say that, hey, we have great support, but then that kind of falls short, right? One person gets off, then you start that support cycle with the next person, that second shift. You're starting the process all over. You're calling in, being bounced around. That's not how it works at Rackspace. Our support teams overlap by an hour, so there's a seamless handoff that one person owns a ticket to completion. If that can't be completed, they overlap by an hour, get that next technician up and running, and then they're going to proceed it to fulfillment from there. Below that, you also see some other professional services. So we do have MySQL, SQL Server, and Oracle DBAs here to our customers. That can be purchased, in blocks on a monthly basis or done on an ad hoc hourly basis. We have professional services teams that really can help with site creation in SharePoint, different specialized services. So Rackspace, again, can really go to a lot of lengths to be an extension of your team. I think the last part is you're probably saying, hey, Matt, that all sounds great. That sounds like it's great support, but how do I know I'm actually going to receive that? Anytime that you interact with a person here at Rackspace, you're going to have the opportunity to do what's called a Net Promoter Score. And basically that says is, Mr. Customer, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer Rackspace to a friend or family? And if that's something that's an 8 or above, we consider you to be a promoter and pretty happy. But anything that's a 7 or below, quite frankly, we don't consider to be good enough. And what happens in that case is that person you interacted with then has to create a business case of what the request was, what transpired, what the solution was, and how that could have been improved or handled next time. And that business case goes to both their direct manager and the VP of their segment. So when you look at having 300,000 customers and all the different experiences that we have with them each year and learning from those, that's how we're able to really continue to improve and how we maintain 98% of our customers each year. It's so important to the company that one of the first emails that we get every morning is from our CEO, basically sending out those Net Promoter Scores from the previous day to the company so we know how we're doing. Rackspace has a great culture. We also have a little coffee bar in one end of our office here, and there's a screen there that constantly scrolls all those Net Promoter Scores and any comments associated with them throughout the day. So there's just a ton that we do to constantly keep our finger on the pulse of our customer feedback and what we can do to improve that and optimize that for our customers. So we talked a little bit about certifications at Rackspace and what we can do at Rackspace to really offer security for our customers. So some of the compliance requirements that we adhere to, at the top there you'll see SAS 70 Type 2 and SSAE 16 and SAE 3402. We are a PCI Level 1 compliant provider as well, is a Safe Harbor and ISO and SOX compliance as well. We have sensitivity to PCI, HIPAA, ISO compliance, FISMA, and many others that you'll see there at the bottom. What's really important when we say sensitivity to is we have network security experts here. We have a global security team, so we take a very consultative approach with our customers when they're looking to come over here. They're looking, they may be just looking for HIPAA compliance. They may be going through an audit. And we'll really work with them to customize what their responsibilities are with HIPAA, what our responsibilities are as a provider, and how we can implement what is needed for them to achieve that compliance, achieve the security they need for their customers or their end users or their employees, and any audits they might be dealing with as well. Again, Rackspace corporate security, the physical security, this is where, a lot of times when there's concerns for customers about, am I going to be as safe at Rackspace as I am in-house? When you look at the physical security that goes into things, again, very hard for most businesses to do in-house. When you look at security camera monitoring of all data center locations, this includes controlling access via biometrics to the data centers and the data center floor. And we do have 24/7 on-site staff there. For customers, this isn't something that is done easily. We need to, it takes a little bit of planning, but we can do tours of our data centers to show you that security that goes into that, the redundancy that's built into our generators and networks. Obviously, we don't allow anybody in the data center floor so we can adhere to our compliance needs and securing our customers, but the data centers are very, very impressive places, very, very secure. A little bit about the operational security. We adhere to best practices there per the compliance reports that we talked about with password encryption, secure transmission, our support tickets, the way we go about handling those to ensure security. And then lastly, at the bottom of system security. All of our dedicated environments are going to come with dedicated firewall and VPN services. Those are managed by Rackspace for you again, using best practices. A lot of times customers have a lot of specific and unique needs there, and with 300,000 customers in 120 different countries, we've seen pretty much everything out there. We can provide best practices, what you need to do to secure your environment and secure that transmission so that you'll basically have the look and feel as if this is sitting in your own data center, in your own closet, in your basement, whatever it might be, but it's completely secured in that transmission between your locations or your remote employees in Rackspace, and it's also completely secured your data here at Rackspace. So that's a little bit about our certifications and our security. And Alejandro, I'll go back over to you to kind of talk about some of your experiences before in working with Rackspace.
That is correct. Thank you, Matt. We have worked with Rackspace for many years now, and before we finalized the webinar, we wanted to illustrate a use case that is from one of our clients and is depicting a real scenario that was implemented through the use of multiple hybrid clouds. Just a second there until the slide changes. Seems like we're having a little bit of a problem changing that slide.
Sorry, Alejandro, did you want to be on the use case slide?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm not sure why it's not changing.
Jaslyn, maybe you can help us out here?
It looks as if Grant is offline. I'm not sure why.
Well, while we resolve the technical issue with the right. So while we figure out what's wrong with the slide, it's a shame because the slide is very illustrative. I'll just go ahead and describe. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and talk about this solution that we implemented for our client. Almost. So this is probably, thank you very much, Grant. So this is probably an extreme architecture in terms of complexity, but we thought that it would be very illustrative of Rackspace's offerings for this audience. So this client is an advertisement agency that produces web products for many of their customers. They have multiple customers. So that's where you see client 1 through client N. They had multiple clouds hosted on multiple hosting vendors, all different. Each one had logins for all of their developers, and management of the access was really a nightmare. And there were multiple developers from different even countries and locations. So we worked with them to design a better solution with the capabilities offered by Rackspace. The model needed to provide segregated development environments for different customers, as well as controlled access for the developers to those multiple private cloud platforms. This was required to avoid, individual login management for each private cloud that they had in the beginning. So we implemented a set of multiple hybrid cloud pairs, one side public and the other side private. The private cloud hosted the development environment for that particular customer, and the public platform contained the web product for that customer. So we implemented the pairs by rack connecting the public clouds to their private counterparts, which is one of the services that Rackspace provides. All of these private public hybrid pairs were connected back to a central hub, which was the master, by site-to-site VPNs, where the domain controller for the entire private environment controlled the access for developers. These developers were accessing with Cisco AnyConnect clients, and once authenticated, they were able to go through the site-to-site VPNs from the master to each hybrid cloud client to do their work. And of course, this was enabled by these Cisco firewalls that are provided as part of the service. And we were able to manage that infrastructure and create those site-to-site VPNs between the different firewalls. So at this point, we just want to see if you, we wanted to just let you know that if you are interested in additional information, if any of this really interests you, we are offering a complimentary cloud assessment for qualified organizations. So there is the contact information for Pedro del Valle in our marketing department if you would want to reach out to him. And we'll open it now for questions. We have about 10 minutes remaining on the hour. So Jocelyn, can you let us know if there's any questions from the audience?
Sure. Yes, Alejandra, there's a question here. The question is, when discussing the private cloud, you mentioned OpenStack. Can you expand on what this is?
Yeah, I'll take that one. This is Grant. OpenStack is our cloud operating system. It's an open source operating system that was created, excuse me, with by Rackspace and NASA 4 years ago. Since we initially developed it, it's taken off, and there are almost 200 companies that are part of the OpenStack Foundation. So now it's a, like I say, open source operating system. There's several thousand individual members, and just like Linux as an open source operating system for a server, OpenStack, open source operating system for the cloud, is continually being developed and updated by those developers. It's great. It's used by Rackspace. We have the largest OpenStack public cloud in the world. There are several other big companies that are using it. HP is a member. IBM is a member of the OpenStack Foundation. Red Hat, VMware, Dell. So really well accepted. And the benefit of OpenStack, or running a cloud on OpenStack versus on a proprietary operating system, is that there's, like Matt mentioned, there's no vendor lock-in. So if a customer develops their app for OpenStack using the OpenStack APIs, they can, in essence, put that app on any public cloud that uses OpenStack or create a private cloud using OpenStack. And it's seamless because the APIs for OpenStack are open sourced, versus if developer creates an app on a proprietary cloud operating system, then they're stuck with that operating system. And if for some reason they want to move to another public cloud or move to a private cloud, they would actually have to completely re-engineer their app for the cloud operating system that they want to move to. So I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. And there's another question here. Will you please provide some estimate as to the average savings most mid-sized Rackspace clients realize when they move from on-prem infrastructure to your managed cloud?
Yeah, this is Matt here, and that's a good question and a really common question. And I wish there was kind of a black and white answer to that, but really it's on a case-by-case basis depending on what customer needs are. I think both in terms of computing requirements, but also in terms of the IT staff that they have to support it. So, typically there's going to be, you're always going to be shifting from typically a capital expense to, you're shifting to an operating expense instead of a capital expense. So with that, a lot of times that is beneficial. We can provide TCO analysis when we have really in-depth conversations with our customers to really analyze on a case-by-case basis of the dollar and cents. So the cost is one perspective, but I think what really comes into it a lot of times in evaluating the decision is going to be choosing where to focus your valuable IT staff. I mean, do you want them focusing on handling server patches and in the middle of the night going and fixing hardware? Or do you want them focusing on application, on making sure that they're focusing on things that are going to make you all more money in your business and really offering better end user experiences, and you want to transition some of that load off of them to Rackspace so they can explore new projects. The other part, I think, when customers evaluate Rackspace is going to be the what ifs. What happens when I have failure and downtime? Am I better suited to handle that in-house, or is Rackspace better suited to handle that? And am I in a position where I can handle those unexpected financial impacts of downtime and hardware failure, or do I want to just have a predictable operating expense and Rackspace manages all of that for me? And if there's a hardware failure, it's not a cost to me. So black and white is there's no exact average cost savings that I can provide, but on a case-by-case basis, we'd love to do a consultation, look at the details, and how we can help. We'll be very transparent within that.
Thank you, Matt. It doesn't look like there are any other questions, so I want to thank Alejandra, Matt, and Grant, and thank you to all of our participants for joining us today. Please make sure to watch for our follow-up email with the replay link along with a copy of this presentation. And also, if you could please take a moment to complete our brief exit survey. And on behalf of Auxis and Rackspace, we thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day.